Hello, this is going to be a brief introduction to Visual Basic Programming. In this case, this is Visual Studio 2015. It includes Visual Basic as well as some other languages. In your classroom, you might have an earlier version of Visual Studio, perhaps 2012. The concepts are the same, so this new version will work fine. You know, when you start Visual Basic, you get the blank form to work with controls, which are objects we're going to put on the form, an explorer area, and then properties. And properties are really key to this. So let's take a picture first of the user interface. This is what it's going to look like when we're done. This is going to be a simple payroll program. These are the controls, which are labels, payroll program, hours, pay rate, and gross pay. I have 3 text boxes, 2 for input and 1 for output, and a button. It's quite simple, basically. And we'll do the math for this. So let's go ahead and build this form. Let's take and position labels by clicking and dragging onto the form. And one more here. And we have a button that goes below. And then we need 3 text boxes. So let's go ahead and do that. Now Visual Basic doesn't know what we're going to call these controls. In this case, this is labels. The first one I put on the form, so it's label 1, label 2, 3, and 4. These have properties, and what I want to do is change the text property. I'm going to leave the names the same. I'm going to call this payroll program. I could go up and modify the name of the object. In this case, it's simply 4 labels, and I can keep track of that on the form, so I'll leave them as that. The text property of this is hours, and the text property of this one is going to change to pay rate, and let's change this one to gross pay. Now for the text boxes, to make the code easy, I think I'm going to change the name of these objects so I can reference them in code a little easier. I'm going to call this hours. And I'm going to call this rate. And I'm going to call this one pay. I'm also going to change the read property of this, read only, to make it true. So now I have it shaping up. Let's change the text property of this button to describe what happens. In this case, I want to calculate the pay. And I need to make the button a little bigger so it fits in here. Okay, now it's time to write some code. So basically we're going to take the text property of hours and multiply it by the text property of rate and give that to the text property of gross pay programmatically. We're going to write the program to do that. So we simply double click on the button. This is going to be a button one click event, and we are going to say pay.text equals hours.text times rate.text. Simple math. So let's go ahead and run that now and see how this works. Hours, let's do 40 to make it simple. Pay rate, let's make it $10, and then calc pay gives us 400. Well, what if we work a little more? Now we get 450. So we see it does work. If there were some errors, we'd show this down here in the error list. That would help us actually debug this and get the code right. One more thing I'd like to add to this, and that is a comment, so I can describe what the calculation does. So this is going to basically calculate gross pay. If this was more complex code, I might put something in here that explained the code, perhaps like pseudocode, but it's fairly simple, so I'm not going to worry about that. We know the comment just is there to help make the program more readable. Now, when you run the program, these comments, notice that it's colored green. These comments start with a, an apostrophe space and whatever the text would be. is ignored by the program when it runs. So let's go ahead and run it so you can see that. It makes no difference. Let's say You got cheaped out on hours. You only got 25 this week. We should get 250, and we do. So it works. So let's go ahead and stop the program. That code is complete, and this is our form. So we've written our first Visual Basic program. I hope that helps. Take a look at that, and good luck when you write your project.